So surprisingly, this project got done a lot sooner than I expected, which is a good thing and a not so good thing. A good thing because I was completely lost in the process, just kept weaving along without thinking, oh, how much longer till this is done? No, that wasn't the case. I never wanted it to get over. So I kept weaving along, and what I didn't realize when few hours back before having dinner was I'm towards the end of this thing. And I still have stuff wound up on my bobbins because, I thought I had a lot more to weave, but apparently not. I probably could have woven a few more inches on, but it just felt the right time to end it. For a few reasons. This one is kind of ending with the thought of a lot of friends. These are all my mostly, I know them, I've known them through the fiber world. But the interesting thing is that towards the end of this warp, it felt like I was weaving with all of them together. And I didn't feel like adding another yarn or anything because I'm like, no, this is all them, and it's time for this weaving to end. So, why friends? Firstly, the warp was prepared by a new friend I made on Facebook, and I believe our friendship started more like with spinning. I can't even remember, but I basically started watching her live Instagram feed, and I was very impressed with all the Saudi weaving she was doing. This is Diana, and we got chatting, and we said, let's do a warp exchange. You send me a warp, I'll send you a warp, and we will weave. So this is a warp she sent. So that's the first friend angle. One major friend angle, of course, is all the Facebook friends who have given me company during weaving this, which was really nice. Towards the end of this weave, I realized that most of the weft yarns that I was using was all from friends. This turquoise with some sequins in it. You can see some bits of sequins in there. That was given to me by Keston. She purchased one of my oil bottles and came to pick it up from home. And in a bag, she had a really nice diamond painted journal, which my wife took over. And she also had some bits and bobs of yarn, some indigo dyed fabric, which I have included somewhere back there. But towards the end, I ended up using some of her yarn. This orangish bulky art yarn. This was a bag that was gifted to me by another friend, Ken Turman, who I've been spinning with uh, almost weekly since I started spinning, I would say, for several years now. And during this quarantine time, of course, we haven't been, but he had come over early during, I think it was probably April or sometime then that he gifted me this bat. The bat is from Atomic Fiber Company, and I spun it up into this art yarn. So that went in. So towards the end, that's a friend, that's a friend. And then another friend who has given me a lot of company during this time, and we still keep chatting on a weekly basis, is Nancy from Schmutzerella Yarn, who gifted me, who, who sent me a package of all kinds of. I'll show you what she sent me. She sent me a soft toy which had this. I probably still have the rest of this toy in my. I do have the rest of this toy. But basically, this is what I got. And she also sent me some yarn. This I did include in some sections of the weaving. And then she also sent me this orange yarn, which I think I'm trying to remember the name of this colorway. Imagination, I believe. I could be wrong. It starts with an I know that. And so this is one of her yarns. So she sent me this, and towards the end I said, you know what, I think I'm going to bind off with hers. So it just felt like the right time to end this. I could have done maybe another 2 inches more, but this is a little more than a 5-yard long warp. So I was like, that's fine. Let's just end it now. All the friends are here. I wish they were all here during my live binding off and taking this off the loom, but that's fine. So there we go. So that is my last bit, all woven in. So that I've done the hem stitch, so that will stay in place. I am going to advance my warp a little bit if I can possibly. Oh, sorry. As much as I can. See, I could have woven, but see, the thing is, yeah, I could have made a shed too, but I would have gotten just a few more inches, not a whole lot. But I do want a nice long. See, when it's up here, the shed keeps slipping up and down, so I think this is good. Let's just go a little bit more. Will this be long enough? Should I go a little bit more if I can? Yeah, I don't think this is going any further. So you can cut right here. Let's just cut this guy back here. And Yeah, we're finally cutting it off the loom. We had mohair threads, we had novelty sparkle yarn. And you're going to see this all firsthand. Who's there online? I see somebody watching. If you're there online, say hi. I know it's such an odd time for me to doing a live. I usually don't go live during this time, but I was like, I'm so close to being done. I need to get this off the loom. There we go. It's all off. Now comes the time to reveal it. So this is the back side, so this is probably not going to look very interesting, but so let me see. Let me roll it up all in front, and then I will show you the front of the. This is the most uninteresting. There isn't really much going on the back side of the fabric. It was very well intentionally done on the right side, but you can see it does have a lot of textures, and once I cut it off, you can see what we have got there. Okay, I am going to unknot these. These are all done with weaver's knots. They should come out pretty easily. They're coming out very easily actually. And I will be washing this like with proper water and stuff rather than the last one, which was a wall hanging. I just steamed it. I'm actually gonna have a look at it and see how textured it is, because even though I did this in a week, less than a week, I still don't remember what all I have done in this. Diane is still weaving hers, the warp I sent her. She's actually spinning some yarn to include in her weave, and I thought I was going to do that as well, but I was going to spin some of that today, but when I sat on the loom I realized I'm actually almost done with my weaving. No more room for more yarn. It's truly surprising how much yarn gets used up in weaving, and how quick it gets used up, but still doesn't get used up as much as I have. This was the mohair. Let's see if I'm in camera view or not. I'm almost in camera view. The mohair, of course, is going to be tricky, but I do want it to open up cleanly. Come on, you can do it. There we go. There we go. Almost there. Just 2 more knots. Not even that. One more. Okay. So are you all ready for the big reveal? I know I could just cut off the end, but why? When you can have all the suspense. When I first got this warp, I was really unsure as to what colors to use, and Diana's advice was just start, and I feel I like just got started, and it ended. It got over too quick, which means I want to warp the loom again with something. Right now I don't know exactly what. Very tempted to warp with my hand spun, which I just finished, but let's see. Okay, it is officially off the loom. Let's put a break on this so it doesn't go flying around. Okay, let's see the front of this fabric now, because that's the interesting part, right? See, I told you the front was a lot more interesting than the back side. So let's go through this. So some hand spun. This was just a starter yarn that I'll remove, so I'll get this real long fringe here. I've done the hem stitch there. This orange bit out here, this is a piece of our curtains. This textured yarn was from another weaving project, a scarf I had made. Added some textures with loop. This is the same curtain added here. I have some leather cord which was added here. This turquoise and this orange is leather cord. This orange is some hand spun spiral yarn. Here I added some chenille yarn. I like the feel of it. It's really soft, very shiny. This is some hand spun yarn with some baubles I had created with a contrasting color. So it was a spiral coiled yarn. That was a lot of fun. More regular yarn with some sparkle. Here of course I have locks, and I think they're just mixed fiber lock from some sheep. I don't know which one, but nice bright colors. Add some good texture to it. Hey Christopher, I'm taking this off the loom, just showing what I created. So this is some felted yarn, this yellow, and it was like a really bright yellow to add into this, and I wasn't sure whether I liked it or not, and it was looking too checkered and too uniform, so I just went ahead and added some locks and stopped doing more of it. This is when I started having some crazy tension issues, but the way I overcome it is the places where my tension was loose, I went ahead and started adding some extra yarn there to stretch out the yarn. Then I had these open windows where I went ahead and added some locks, and that evened out the tension of the fabric, which I like. This out here is some sari silk that I added. I think that looks neat with some hand spun coiled yarn there. And here I wanted to add some black for a really dramatic effect, and some art yarn in between. Just so many different things that I did. This was hand spun yarn, but not by me. This bluish color. It was just the right colors to go with this. So that went there. Then there is this, which was again This is chenille yarn again. It's a peachish color chenille yarn with random bits and bobs. This was the fluff that I got from Nancy's toy. It was the golden hair, which I think looks really cool in this. Had to add a bit of my curtain in there too. Then there is this where more art yarn, more chenille yarn in between, and then more locks. This I know this blue warp weft yarn is some cotton warp I had, so I added that in. Oh yes, and I did love this section. So I did a bigger section of this, which is some wool yarn with some hand spun yarn, and this was one of my very first bats I had created, and I had spun it into a spiral yarn, and I think this looks really cool. I really like the way this looks. Then I started playing with different ways of weaving, like different treadle sequence just to get a thicker portion of yarn. Then I went back to basic weave. There are those art yarn textures again, and I think I was trying to balance the tension again out here. You can see the yarn does get pulled left right a little bit, but it's fine. And then this was some ribbon yarn which I just included. I really like the way that came out. I should have used more of that. Look at the shine on that. It's really nice. So that is that. This was some thick and thin yarn. I like the way it has these weird bubbly textures. It was a thick and thin spiral yarn, commercial yarn, but worked really well. This is where I really got into using my art yarns more, and honestly I kind of landed up in this state where I was just really all over the place. I couldn't think much, and I just kind of haphazardly kept putting the yarn in different directions, turning it around with a background of some yarn, but basically my art yarn just making random turns here and there. So I really like this part of it. And then I kind of got a little bit, I went a little basic again. Here I added a lot of that curtain fabric again, because you know why, we had drapes and they were too long anyway, and the color just looked right for this, so that's where this went. These are the pieces of indigo dyed denim which Keston gave me, so I included some of that in here. I think they look really cool. I hope you can see this as well as I can. I know the light can be a little bit too bright, but hopefully you're getting an idea. And here, this is again handspun yarn with, I added locks this time, but I kind of wanted to make vertical and horizontal lock directions, so I like the way that came out. And then I went, I did few shots of my handspun, and then towards the end I just kind of fell in love with this whole thing. I'll show you the whole thing spread out. I just couldn't stop doing it once I got to this point. I just kept going back and forth with just doing the same thing. I just kept changing the weft yarn, but I kept, after every 4 shots, I added this textured coarse spun yarn that I spun out of this bat that was gifted by Kent. And in between is all the yarn that was gifted to me by Keston and by Nancy. And so towards the end, and the warping something, Diana gifting me. It feels like towards the end it just became this whole friendship fabric. Friends during quarantine. What do? We weave. So I do like that part quite a bit. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I don't even know if anyone is watching, but I just wanted to share that this is off the loom. We'll go in a wash. We'll see how the fabric changes. I still don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Maybe I might just hang it on the wall. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. All right. Thanks for joining me. Bye.